everyone, it is the Dower Duo here. Today we will be interviewing my mother, Debbie Comlow. So the theme of today's trail talk, that's what we call it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, trail talk. I almost forgot we haven't done one of these in about a month or so. But the theme of this trail talk is parents and through hiking. Specifically the Appalachian Trail in this episode, since we did do the Appalachian Trail. So my mother, bless her heart, but she wasn't thrilled when she first heard about me wanting my dream of doing the Appalachian Trail. By the time, though, that I began through hiking with Jonathan in 2019, she was completely 100% supportive, to the point where she wants to through hike one day, hopefully by herself. So welcome my mother, Debbie Comlow. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
So I'll just ask you a question, like an intro question. But do you remember the first time I brought up the Appalachian Trail to you and Dad?
Yes, I do. And I remember my immediate response was no.
I remember that.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I know you guys weren't thrilled. So it's a pretty cool story to kind of like go through from when I first told you guys about the trail to like how it is now, which is completely different. Yeah. Cool.
Yes, I remember when Tara first came to us and told us that she wanted to hike the trail, the Appalachian Trail. And I remember her dad and I not being thrilled at all. We felt like we were going to throw her out there into the woods unprotected, and it really scared us. It honestly it scared us, and we just did not want it to happen. So we just, when she would talk about it, we would just nod our heads and say, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then, gradually it got closer and closer and closer, and we realized it wasn't going to go away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. You guys were just kind of like writing it off for a little bit, and then it got a little real, and the plans, the date, like, what did you think? And then the date got closer,
and then you started buying all the gear.
And then I started asking.
It was
for
buying
Christmas.
the gear, and then buying a dehydrator for Christmas, and it was buying all her gear, and then she would tell us that she was going on shakedown hikes by herself in the woods. And so we would have to, steel ourselves for that.
Right. Yeah.
Did you ever get her any gear as like gifts or anything?
Oh, absolutely. First? Oh, yeah.
So was it, at that point, was it like, well, this thing's going to happen whether we like it or not? So
yes,
it was kind of like an acceptance.
When Tara sets her mind to something, there's no stopping her. So you either support it and give in, or she's still going to do it, and it's better to support than not support. So
right.
All right, well, cool. So how did you prepare for the possibility of me hiking alone? I know you touched on that a little bit, but how did you prepare for that possibility?
So the possibility of her hiking alone, both her dad and I dealt with it in different ways. He kind of left it up to me. His thought was, well, just give her a gun and she'll be fine. And mine was more of, and my personality is more like, I need to research as much as possible. And so I watched all Facebook videos. I followed people on their through hikes. I bought the AWOL guide, and I planned out, what it looked like to me, and what it would look like to her. And then I would go in and I would plan, when we could go and visit her, surprised and planned. And so it was more on my side, it was more preparation and getting my mind clear.
Right.
When you did that, because it's kind of funny, like all that stuff that you're doing is what like a lot of normal hikers do, you know,
Right.
like to get ready to actually go do it. But you're doing it because like you're worried about Tara and like you want to make sure you know where she is and everything.
Yep.
But did that kind of, I guess, once she actually got out there, did that kind of make it more fun for you? Like it kind of got you more involved in like being actually a part of this hike with her, or was it even then? Was it still like I just want to make sure I know where she is?
It was all about knowing where she was. So I did a lot of preparation before, hand, and it was a lot of what through hikers do before they start. It was everything about what they do. It's funny when people talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that. Wrote down a plan and all of this stuff. What she would need and everything. But yeah, it was, but for me as her mom, it was solely just to know where she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you did do a lot. We'll talk a little more about that later on, but there was a lot of preparation there on your part, which was good for me too, knowing that I had people watching and I also had you watching. Just knowing people were keeping track of me, so that was good. So I know how you were feeling, but for people who are watching, how are you feeling when you left me up there by my own on Springer Mountain? What was going on? What were your concerns? What were your hopes? But like,
what was your gut feeling?
what
Oh,
was everything?
you know what my gut was feeling because I've told that story. It was my body handles stress not well. Let's just put it that way. And I didn't even realize I was under that much stress with her starting it. I was more when she started, I was more focused on her well-being, and wasn't really paying attention to how I was internalizing it. And so I had some issues with my stomach when she started, and it was all about internalizing the stress that I was going through. But yeah, her starting the trail was, it was kind of surreal. You live in those moments where, she had been planning it for so long, and I had been planning for it for so long too. So it was, and then it was here, and it seemed to go so fast. And we were very fortunate that we have Tara's grandparents that live very close to the start of the trail. And so we were able to go up there and make sure she had a good night's sleep, and she laid out all her stuff, and we made sure she had all her items, and we got her a good breakfast the morning of, so she was ready to go. And she also was ready to go. I know she was very nervous, but she was ready to get on the trail and start, what she had been planning and dreaming about for so many years. So we were fortunate that way, but it was also very difficult to watch her walk off. It was very difficult to watch her walk off into the woods by herself.
Yeah, for sure. I can only imagine how that would be. I don't have a daughter or any type of children or anything.
Someday you'll come back and you'll say, "Mom, I totally get it now."
And that's I think this is a really good video for like I think it might be really helpful for parents who are trying to like prepare the way you did for their kids to go out, but then also for like people like us, because I know for me like my mindset's like, oh, my parents will be fine. Like obviously like they'll worry about me, but they'll really be fine. But really like you didn't really tell us like everything that was going on in your head. My parents didn't really tell us all the worries that were going on in their head. So I think it's really important for us to like realize that like this is pretty hard on our parents.
Right.
and we don't really understand how much they actually worry about us. And so just like that extra step of letting them know that you're okay, or that extra, like, go ahead and get the spot tracker even if you don't feel like you need it, like that's an incredible, like,
It's a great tool. It's a great tool, and it gives you peace of mind. But it's not just your family. I mean, obviously, it impacts your family tremendously because, especially your parents, and your grandparents too, and the rest of your families, brothers and sisters and everything. But it also affects like your friends. Tara and I just went to a wedding a week ago when she came home, and the bride's dad came up to her and was like, how was it? I was watching you, and oh my God, did you meet that guy, on the trail and everything? And so he was watching, and
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, and he was very very concerned. So it's not, it's just everybody that knows you and loves you.
Yeah.
I mean, because for a lot of people, unless you live in an area where like this kind of thing is normal, but like most places people live, this isn't a normal thing. So for some people, what they're thinking when you're going off on the Appalachian Trail, and they won't realize this till they actually like see it for their own eyes, but they think you're going into this like complete wilderness, like no towns around, no roads, like you're out there, and you are for some parts, you are out there. But I think for people, it's a little more primitive than how it actually is.
Right. I agree.
So it's good to kind of keep those people updated in any way that you can, in any way that you can.
Just as a courtesy, really.
For sure. So for those that don't know, I failed in 2017. I did not complete a thru hike. I actually only made it 80 miles before having a pretty bad panic attack. I have a video about that, about how I failed, that whole story, and I'll link that above. But for right now, I'm gonna get my mom's point of view on that. So how are you feeling when you first heard that, like, I failed? Were you relieved that I was off trail? Were you upset? And how did you process me failing?
So I don't really look at it as a failure. I know you keep using that word, and it kind of bothers me a little bit, because I don't really view it as a failure. I just view it as a learning experience. And I viewed it as you had an opportunity to get some things under control, like your anxiety, through maybe medication or some other methods, and becoming come to terms with that, and then make those changes. And then you were still young, you had just graduated college, and I just thought to myself, she's got plenty of time. And whether it's a through hike or maybe it's section hikes, she'll do it, because when Tara sets her mind to something, it's going to happen. So I never really viewed it as a failure. But at the same time, as her mom, I was a little relieved, because then I could bring her back home into my arms and protect her, and so there was, but I was also sad for her, and I wanted her to get back out there, get back on the horse and do this, because I know that she can.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've ever asked you that, but yeah.
Well, I remember I came to pick you up, and I remember you driving home. We're driving home in the car, and you were very upset, and you said, "Mom, do you hate me for not finishing the trail? Are you disappointed in me?" Maybe the word was disappointed. It wasn't hate. But are you disappointed in me? And I said, no. I said, no, of course not. I'm never disappointed in you, because you always do the right thing, and you always do what's best for you. So I never, for her, it was crushing. But I just knew, and it comes with age, is knowing that you always have second chances. You always have another chance. So I never viewed it as a failure.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah. All right, so fast forward, I guess about a year and a half after
Yeah,
that, right?
a year and a half.
When we kind of started talking about doing it again.
Yeah.
Was there a specific time, kind of like the first time, where like she kind of broke the news to you saying, "Hey, I think I want to do this"? I don't remember when we were planning on doing it together. Was there a moment for you guys where like you went back and said, "Hey, I think we're gonna go do this thing again"?
I want to say we just kind of like, it was just a conversation that we like had. I think like there was one time that you were just like, I think I would do this with you, like it's your dream. And then I think I might have brought that up to my parents. So at that point, I think it was just an open conversation, like, when is it?
Do you remember what that
I
was
don't
like?
remember like a specific conversation like the first time. I just remember like knowing that there was little comments or little like, oh, well, I'm gonna need to get a new sleeping bag, and
Yeah,
or
it just goes. The conversation just goes right back to the
right.
gear list and all
Right,
that
right.
stuff
It
we
goes back to
need.
the gear list. It goes back to, we're not going to renew our lease in
Yeah.
March. And it's things like that. So it was kind of like, oh boy, here we go. We're going to start in March. I know what that means. So yeah, I don't remember like sitting down and having a specific conversation. I just remember a lot of little tidbits like that coming up.
Yeah.
How was it like when you did know it was like gonna happen? How were the feelings for you? Like when you heard that me and Jonathan were doing, how did you feel at that point? Like excited or then just nervous again? Or both?
So when I I think my thing was you were newly married, and I was just like, oh my gosh, certainly can't take this trip by herself. She's a newlywed, for God's sake. But excuse me. So she can't do this by herself. She's newly married. That would be awkward. So I kind of hoped that, Jonathan, you would go along with her. And honestly, it made me feel more relieved knowing that you were going with her. I had her support system that, the who better than Tom and I? Who better than, her dad and I? It was always, it was Jonathan, and we knew that you were going to protect her, and you know how to talk her down from her anxiety attacks, and help her with those coping mechanisms and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt 100% better knowing that you were going with her.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
That's really nice to hear.
I just needed to get myself a husband, I guess.
I guess, right?
You change everything.
Yeah, 100%. that might come up more.
Remember that time you said I was 100% better with Tara?
Yeah.
When she was on her own.
I think you're about 50%, Jonathan.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he came with me then.
Yeah, no, me too. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I guess.
I look back at it and I'm so glad that we did it together, and
yeah.
It would have been pretty uneventful.
It just would have been a lot different.
It'd be different. I mean, it would have been still fun for me, but sharing that time with him was really nice. So
right.
So going just fast forward to like when we actually started the trail, we'll just get right to it. But how was sending us off in 2019 compared to 2017? How was your stomach?
It was great. My stomach was fine. I still had, here I was sending, two people that I love a lot into the woods, and they still didn't have their gun with them, but they did have their they still had their spot GPS tracker and lots of batteries. So
Yeah.
You did send us out with a lot of
I did
batteries.
send you out with a
Yeah.
lot of batteries, so
That was our ammo.
so yeah, so I felt better because I knew that Jonathan was going, and that you were going to be safe. I knew that you physically could do it. You guys are both very physically fit, and I knew that that was not going to be a problem unless somehow you got injured. Um, but I still was a little nervous about Tara's anxiety, but I
Yeah.
thought it was definitely going to be better when you were with her.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was still hard
I
to
guess we
watch.
didn't really talk with. Oh,
It was still
sorry.
hard to watch you walk off into the woods, though. I think
Yeah, when we
it would
broke
be for
away, when we
anybody.
split
Yeah,
off.
yeah. When we
Yeah.
split off,
Yeah.
it was still difficult, but
Yeah.
we get through it.
Yeah. I guess we didn't really talk with you at all. You did you ever have conversations with her about like anxiety or anything towards the beginning? Because that was kind of something that I was thinking too, like going into it. It's like, well, I would love for us to like really like do this thing, but we would just take it a day at a time. Because I remember how the first in 2017 was. But really, like, I don't know if you knew this, but I thought everything was going really, really smoothly, like for both of us, but then also for your anxiety. It really didn't seem like it was like giving you a hard time for most of the time out there.
Yeah. It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah. So
Um,
and like
No, no, I
even
don't
our
think.
friends that we were hiking with, like they didn't really. I don't know. Like you just didn't seem like an anxious person at all.
yeah. There were times
There are
though.
there are always situations, and
Yeah.
it was nice because in times like that, like we were able to recognize like, well, I like we realize this is really hard right now, but we also realize this is the anxiety kicking in.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like, and she was able to see that. I was able to see that. Like, yes, it's really, really difficult right now, but we can get through this. This is just anxiety. We realize what's going on, and we were able to work through that. But
Yeah.
it really didn't happen
I,
a lot.
I think in 2017 too, I think that you know, maybe some of her fear was that she wasn't going to be able to talk to anybody, and
Yeah.
so and especially you, Jonathan, you were a huge support for her in 2017,
Yeah.
and the thought that she couldn't actually speak to you was a
That
huge
was hard.
concern of hers. And so, in 2018, when you were with her, she always knew you were there to talk to her. So it was big difference. It was a big
Yeah.
difference.
It was a huge difference. Yeah. All right. So, talking about anxiety, we know that you have anxiety as well. It's kind of a family trait. How did you deal with anxiety while we were on the trail? Like, mainly based on us and like not knowing where we were, not knowing if we were completely safe.
Okay. So in 2017, I just hit the refresh button on my computer a lot to be able to watch you in the spot. I mean, I was just
Uh-huh.
like every 10 minutes I was hitting refresh at work. In 2019, I didn't hit refresh nearly as much, which was I pat myself on the back for that. Um,
Sorry.
I do have anxiety, definitely have anxiety about things, but you just have to deal with it. You just have to do the best you can to deal with it, and know that you've done a good job and you've sent them out there with everything that you could the tools that you could possibly give them to do the best that they can, or to help them in any way, just to help support. The only one really difficult time for me in particular was when you were in the Smoky Mountains. And we didn't have contact. The phone service wasn't working up there. And the spot, bad weather was rolling in. And the spot, the GPS tracker wasn't working. It had just stopped one day.
I
And
remember that.
and then for like 2 days it didn't move. And
Wow.
so I had visions of this, that you had met somebody bad, or you had fallen, or or you couldn't get to where you needed to be, and everything like that. And so that was a really difficult time. And so by the third day, you still hadn't, well, by the second night, I was on Facebook. And on Facebook, I went to all the Appalachian Trail groups, and I posted, what's going on up there, and haven't heard from my daughter and son-in-law, and has anybody heard of anything not good happening, and or injured hikers or whatever.
Yeah.
And that actually was incredible. The support in those groups was incredible, because I got a lot of messages, people that had no idea who I was, didn't know who you were, not even friends or family, just people that like to hike the Appalachian Trail and support each other and everything. Got a lot of messages of support, let us know if we can help you, if they need
That's
anything, let us know, contact the rangers, here's their numbers, and things
Wow.
like that.
That's great.
Yeah, and so by the third day, well, that night I was like, okay, well, I'm familiar with hiking and camping and backpacking, so I'm going to gather all my stuff together. And if I don't hear from them by tomorrow,
You're gonna come find us.
I am going to come find you. I'm walking north until I find you. And
That's great.
yeah, so that was my plan. But fortunately, y'all, the GPS started working by the third day, and you were way ahead of where it had stopped. So I
Wow.
knew it just
Yeah.
had been working all that time.
Yeah.
So that was a relief. That was really the only time when it was you two that I was very, very concerned.
So would you, speaking on like the resources, you had the Facebook group as a really good resource. So that's just the Facebook AT class of 2019. That was the group that you were on.
Well, I'm in all sorts of groups. So I'm in the women's hiking group for the
Yeah.
Appalachian Trail. I'm in the, whatever Appalachian Trail hiking Facebook groups there
Yeah.
are, I'm in it. So
Would you recommend those groups for parents, and what other resources would you recommend for
I would
parents?
recommend those resources, and I would also recommend that they start preparing themselves and watching the videos from different thru hikers. If you happen to have a daughter that's starting, pick a thru hiker that was a girl, a woman, and gain their perspectives. And not
Okay.
that that you can't follow a man, but I think women have unique issues when they're on the trail, obviously being women, that men may not have. And then being a parent, you're more concerned about maybe your daughter than your son. But I don't know if that sounds good or not, but
No, that's great. That's
okay.
great. Yeah.
But
Also, going back to something you said before, you said something. I don't think you said these words exactly, but you felt better in 2019. And I think you alluded to the fact that like trust was important, because not that you didn't trust me in 2017, but there was a lot of trust now that like I've done a lot more section hikes. We were together. What do you think about like a parent and trusting like their child's preparation and trusting their just like their own preparation? How
Mhm.
can you talk to that?
Well, I think that the only way that you can really trust is to be prepared and to know what's going on. I mean, there's no way that you can trust that your child has packed the right foods to fuel their body for this trip unless you know what they're going to need to fuel
Mm-hmm.
their bodies.
That's
So
good.
watching the videos and reading books and all this stuff, it's a great resource, and it really helps you be able to talk intelligently to your child about their nutrition on the trail. And so really the only way to prepare yourself for that is to do all these preparations beforehand, and then be able to support that or have a conversation, or when you're shopping for a sleeping bag, say, have you ever thought about getting this sleeping bag because it's got a
Mm-hmm.
different degree of um, warmness or
Yeah.
coolness or whatever it is. um, but have you ever thought of getting this lamp opposed to
Yeah.
this one, because this one, you can have different features or anything like that. So it's just being able to, for you to know that it's just it you won't know you don't know how to um trust that your child is making the right decisions on things if you don't know yourself what they need.
Mm, that's
So,
good.
I mean, like, if my child came to me and they said, oh, I'm thinking about hiking the Appalachian Trail, and they were like, yeah, I'm thinking about, bringing granola and, robble or whatever, with my, and you said, no, I think you should bring Twinkies because that's high in sugar and that will give
Yeah.
you energy. I mean, if you
Yeah.
if you don't know like what's going to fuel your body the best or somebody's body the best, then you're going to be giving them all the wrong
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
So
For sure. You gotta really know what you're talking about and be able to identify, like if you're talking to them, be like, I wouldn't eat that. Maybe you could eat this or something like
right,
that. And
right,
trusting yourself and trusting them too.
Yeah,
right,
and also like if you kind of know what most hikers like do to prepare or whatever, and you see like your kid is doing all the same stuff, that's just gonna help reassure you, like, oh yeah, like my kid is going out there knowing what
Yeah.
right,
he or
exactly,
she is getting into.
right,
Yeah.
Opposed to like, I don't think my kid knows what he's doing.
right.
Yeah. And that's
like,
just an assumption when you don't even know
Yeah.
what's the best.
Right. Or if your kid says, yeah, I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail and I'm going to start tomorrow and I've saved $500, like,
You're not gonna make it.
No, you're not.
right. You're going to make it through,
I don't
you're going to
care
make
how
it
much you
through
want to make
Georgia.
it. You're just not
Right.
going to make it.
Right. You're not going to make it. So, but the only way that you're going to know that is by doing your own research,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and,
I
and
think that's a
knowing that
great point.
it's like $5,000 a person, and that you have to save that money, either that or, have somebody who's very supportive of you to give you money. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's good. I
Yeah.
think that was a good point. I think that'll help a lot of people.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So, personal question, I guess. Did you think we were gonna make it?
Yes,
You did.
I did.
Did
I
you?
knew
For real?
yes, I knew that you were going to finish it.
Huh.
Huh.
I knew that
That's
you were going to
interesting.
finish it.
That's nice.
That was probably one of the hardest parts about like letting you go, is knowing that I wouldn't see you for 6 months.
Huh.
But I knew that you were going to finish it because you're both very physically fit people. I didn't see any problem there. I felt like mentally, you were going to have your ups and downs, but you had your support system in place. And I felt like you had a lot of people along the way that were also supporting you.
Yeah.
So I never thought for 1 minute that you wouldn't finish.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit, but what was the piece of technology that we had in order for you to keep tabs on us and know where we were? Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, that is my favorite piece of equipment. When I send you off into the wilderness was what is it, a Spot, Tara? It's
Yeah, it's a
a
Spot Generation 3.
yeah. So we had that when you started in 2017, and then we just hang on to it, and we restarted the service when you started in 2019. So yeah, it's a great piece of equipment aside from the Smoky Mountains, and then a few other times, but not as long. Every now and then it would be like a little glitchy. But it did a great job. It did a really great job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain a little bit how it actually worked for anyone who might not
Yeah,
know?
and different functions and features.
So you turn it on and it tracks you on a map. So you can look at your computer. Anybody that wants to follow you, as long as they have your login information, you can, because I shared it with Jonathan's parents and Tara's grandparents. You know, some people that were close to us, and so we could actually watch you on the trail.
Yeah.
It also has an emergency beacon on it so that if you did run into emergency, all you had to do was push the button.
Yeah.
And then we also had where it could send very brief text messages out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Like the
could,
preset message.
Yeah.
right. So it was like a preset message, we're okay, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah. I
And
think we
did that
sent
every
that.
morning.
Yeah, we sent it every morning just so like if anything did happen, somebody who took it maybe didn't know that like this message was sent in the morning and just it was just like, hey, this is us for real. Um,
Right,
we're sending at this time every day and we're
right.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
a great little tool.
I knew we knew a lot of people that had like different kinds of trackers, but I think
But
it's
the same type of thing.
yeah, it's the same type of thing. I think they're extremely important for parents. They are a little pricey because you have to buy the actual device. Then you have to do a subscription. Isn't it a subscription?
It
Like a yearly
is.
subscription. So it
It is
is
a
pricey,
yearly.
but it. I mean, your life, I think, is
Yeah, I
it's
don't think
safety.
anyone would say it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's safety. I mean, it's got great features and it's great peace of mind. And I wouldn't go on a hiking trip without one.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They're very handy, and they give a lot of peace of mind for sure.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Some questions maybe for a parent who's watching this. How did you plan an on-trail visit? So I know we were able to see you guys at least once on the trail, but how did we go about planning that? Do you remember?
So I think we just talked on the phone, and there were other people that were meeting you, Jonathan's parents and your friends and stuff that were meeting with you. So we weren't the only ones that were going to meet you on the trail. So we had to kind of plan it out a little bit, but when we met you all in Damascus, we were able to, a week or two beforehand, when you knew you were getting close and what time you were going to get there, we were able to plan that out and
Yeah.
have a nice visit.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I think we just like kind of like communicated to you like this is how generally fast we're going and we might make it to Damascus. We met in Damascus. You took us back to the cabin, but I think we just told you generally when we can make it there by, and either like so we made like a time or a date, and then either we would like go slower to like meet up with that, but I think we actually went a little faster at that time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for the most part, like you don't need to set like a strict hiking schedule when you're out there, but it's really not hard. Like say, like what we did with you, like, hey, we'll meet you in Damascus on this day. Then you just for like a week or whatever, you just create a strict hiking schedule.
Yeah.
But for the rest
Right.
of your time out there, there's no need to do that. But it's really not hard at all to do that when you're meeting somebody up. So
No,
And,
especially when you know what your speed is.
Yeah.
You know, when you're up to 15 miles a day, then you can kind of plan it out and look at the book, the AWOL
Yeah.
guide,
Yeah.
and plan it out.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing in 2017, I know Tara was planning on doing entirely mail drops for food.
Not entirely, just like 8 places that I thought.
Like big ones.
Yeah.
And so, but when we did it, we kind of changed that. We were just going to restock as we go. But you guys were still really, really helpful. I know there was a specific time when we were getting ready that Tara bought a lot of Cliff Bars.
There's a good sale on the Cliff Bars.
She bought 86 Cliff Bars when we already decided like we're going to buy as we go. And now we have 86 Cliff Bars sitting at your house.
I didn't mean to.
Yes.
It was a great price. I mean,
And you started freaking out that day that we
Yeah.
weren't going to have food or something. But anyways, so you guys were still really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Kind of along the same lines, but was there any kind of
You also-
struggle?
Yeah, sorry.
Was there any kind of struggle like doing mail drops while we were on trail for you, or like advice that you would give to any other parents wanting to do that kind of thing?
Like coordinating mail drops.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2017, Tara was very stressed out about mail drops. She had mailed probably 3 boxes ahead for herself. You know, she was very stressed out about it. And I think in the end, you know, all those boxes went into hiker boxes along the way, or some of them did at least. But as far as in 2019, she you know, y'all had done such a great job of planning ahead for us. We had all your, you know, you had the Cliff Bars, you had other snacks, you had the Gatorade powders, you had Propel powders, you had your clothes like ready for us, you had your shoes ready for us, you had your, you know, your lighter or the different temperature sleeping bags,
Yeah.
right?
For a
all-
different season.
right, different seasons all prepared for us. So I just had to go upstairs and pull those things together, put them in a box and send them. So it wasn't that stressful for me. The only thing that was stressful for me was I wanted to be sure that it was there. And so I would pay extra to like for next day shipping because I never wanted you to be waiting for it or have to delay your trip to wait for something to open or that it wasn't there or something. So what made me feel better, and that I was being the best support system that I could be, I just paid for it to make sure that it was there.
Yeah, well, that's
Thanks.
really nice. Thanks.
Yeah. I don't think we knew that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think except for the shoes that you got, not from you, but like from a different thing, I think that was the only hiccup that we had with any.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nothing from you ever caused any problems. So.
There was shoes from some
from
other
the
situation.
manufacturer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got a little late. Oh
No,
it was there early.
They were there.
Right.
The
A whole
dude-
different story. anyways, everything from you was on perfect timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was always waiting
I
for
did
us.
my job.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
another thing for people to note is make sure you check the post office hours, because we ran into a couple. I gave my mom some post offices to send some things to, and some post offices were open. I think we came into contact that was open from like 12 to 2.
Yeah, like in a small town. You know, like you don't think that it's like, okay, here's a post office, U.S. Postal Service,
Yeah.
you know, USPS. Like this is a federal building, and they're open 2 hours on a weekday.
And I wondered if
Well,
it's
it's
like
because they had to still deliver the mail. They had to still deliver the mail. So,
They have
you
one
know,
person working,
from
I
9
guess,
to 11:30, they were delivering mail, and then they would open up the post office from 12 to 2 and then go back out and deliver mail. So,
yeah,
you know.
I think for sure an important thing to do before you have anyone shipping you items, make sure you know about that post office or that location. Check your hostel locations. Check the comments on gut hooks to make sure that these are good locations to send your items. Some hostels do charge you $5 to pick up your items, and not that we have a problem with that. It's just some people might have a problem, like, I don't want to pay $5. So send it to the post office, or send it to like a free hostel.
Yeah. And that's another thing, actually, with some post offices, depending if it comes through a different avenue to that post office. Some post offices, we've run into post offices where they just give it to you, but we've also run into post offices where they'll charge extra because like they're not a personal mailbox.
Yeah.
And you can tell, you walk in and like the person behind the counter is expecting a fight with you. And that's probably just from experiences with other hikers.
Yeah.
So just go in, pay whatever they're asking because like they're still doing a service for you.
Yeah.
You know, you're not a member of the town. You're not. And so, yeah, just to let anybody know, like in advance.
Don't be hostile to anyone, but especially postal workers.
Yeah.
They're just doing their job.
They fluctuate. So just expect that.
Yeah. I think that was a good point.
Yeah. And thank you for getting
thank
us
you
everything.
So much. That was.
And that's another point. Like, help your parents out and like set all your stuff organized for them, so they're not either having to go buy stuff for you or like trying to scramble to like, oh, is this what they need or is this what they need? Like,
just, I made it super clear. I set out the shoes. I got boxes from my old work. I put the Clif Bars here, I put these here, and then the sleeping bags were right there near all of our boxes.
So make it easy on your parents.
Yeah. That was very, very helpful. You know, not to have to go searching through all your stuff to find things was.
Hey, it's in one of those boxes. In the closet. It's in one of the closets.
It could be at the bottom. I don't know.
Right.
I
don't know.
Left it in my storage unit back in Greenville.
Right. Exactly.
Can you take an hour drive there and go look for it?
Yeah.
No.
Don't do that. Make it easy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So we're kind of nearing towards the end here. So I think an interesting question for a lot of people listening to this is like, in the beginning you were not happy about it, and then towards, like, you weren't not happy but you weren't like thrilled, like, oh, this is exactly what I want for my daughter's future. But then towards the end of it, I feel like you're totally on board. So how has your feelings changed about through hiking, but specifically the Appalachian Trail, since the beginning?
So I always knew about the Appalachian Trail. We had done, when I was growing up, we did a lot of different sports that revolved around the woods and camping and hiking and backpacking. And it also, we were in areas that crossed over the Appalachian Trail, so I've always known about it, and never changed my opinion about it. I think that even before I did all my research and everything and watched videos, I already knew what it was going to be like. I knew where, I knew what the highs and lows were. I knew what the challenges were going to be as far as the through hike and everything. So that wasn't really a surprise for me. I think the thing that I was most grateful for, and the thing that surprised me the most about the Appalachian Trail, was the community of people that support the hikers and how dedicated those people are to you, especially when you have followers that are following you on your hike, and how supportive that they can be, and that they're willing to come out and drive you places and pick up food, and complete strangers who are
Yeah.
doing all of this. So where it wasn't a surprise, I had heard about it, but I was more thankful, and I felt like that you were truly blessed by those people. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess thank you to everyone who subscribed and followed. That's a big help and a big motivation for us.
and as a
Just going
mom,
off that point.
as a mom, I was just like, oh my gosh, someone's taking care of my kids, like if I can't be there, I was thankful that somebody else was, taking care. So
Yeah.
And I think that's probably something that most parents don't know is out there. Like I don't think they would ever expect that there's a huge community out there like wanting to take care of the hikers, and so for a parent, there's a huge community out there wanting to take care of your kid.
Yeah.
well,
We were.
you've always taught, as parents, we've always taught our kids to be weary of strangers, and it's really just to protect them from people that always aren't, as aren't good people. So we've always told, as a protection for our children, is to be wary of strangers. And here you are, you're sending your child off on there, and a lot of their support system comes from strangers.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
Yeah.
that was amazing to see. So
Yeah. And another thing about that, not only are there like people on like trail angels, what we're talking about, but there's also like people out there hiking with you that are incredibly supportive. And if one person's not supportive, there's 10 others on the trail around you that are. And we met so many people, so many friends. I mean, we've had 2 of our friends come down here already from the trail to Florida, where we live now. But there's a huge community, and they're not going to be alone. They're not going to ever be like, unless they're going at a really odd time, like really early in the season, like in January, or like Sobo, those, it's a little more desolate, but not as much as going on another trail, I guess. But like generally, you're always going to have somebody around on the Appalachian Trail, section hikers. I mean, everyone's just, it's a great attitude on the trail. There's a great community out there.
Yeah.
right.
Good. I think that's a peace of mind for anyone.
Yeah.
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 Do
So
you
a
have
funny
any? Oh,
So a
sorry.
funny
No, go
story
ahead.
that, Tara, you might want to piece into the beginning, where you were talking about, you were telling us that you wanted to walk on the trail. And you remember we took our little trip, you and I, and we did that section up by
Oh
Damascus.
yeah.
And remember that guy showed up,
Yes.
and we were sitting there,
Uh-huh.
and we were sitting at the picnic table. And, here we were with backpacks that were about 60 pounds each, literally like 60 pounds each. And this guy comes up with like all the latest gear and everything.
Lightweight.
Yeah, total lightweight and
Yeah.
everything. And then he said, he says, so, he said to Tara, are you thinking about hiking the Appalachian Trail? And she was like, yes. And I was like, oh Lord, please stop talking about this. We're just taking a little trip. Don't encourage her, don't encourage her. But
Yeah.
anyway, he was a very nice man.
Yeah, he gave a lot of good advice. He gave me
He
a lot
did.
of peace of mind. Like at that
Change.
time, I was afraid of bears. I don't know why, but like I didn't think twice about bears on this trail.
Oh, you were
On this
scared to
time.
death of bears, because
I
I
don't know
remember
why.
it was still light out, And she was like, we've got to hang our bear bag. We've got to hang our bear bag.
I was so
And
afraid.
it was
I don't know
just,
why.
it was like, oh my God, we're not even done eating yet. Like,
Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. That's another thing. Maybe go on section hikes with your kids. See what it's all about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
That was
Section
great-
hikes
that was
are a
great.
lot of fun, and it's a great way of good bonding time.
Yeah.
But it's also good, like you see what your child is getting into.
Cotton shirts. Remember our cotton shirts?
We bought matching cotton
I
tie-dye
know.
shirts.
They were tie-dye shirts with VW buses on the front. And that's what you guys hiked in the whole weekend, right?
Yeah. Oh, that was the
Okay,
best.
yeah.
We need to
We
do
had
that
also,
again and get some
we
nice
we
cotton shirts.
we had like our sleeping bags were probably like 5 pounds. I mean, it was just our backpacks were like so heavy. I just don't.
Didn't we use your mom's pack
Yep.
from like the 80s?
Yes,
And
we
Derek's
did.
back, probably.
So it was all cattywampus too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Derek's old one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Meant
Yep.
for a 6'2" man. And got me 5'6". Oh, that was fun. That was fun. I mean, we can remember it and just have fun thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were about to say something.
Oh, yeah, it's just something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
think about this.
Yeah, it's fun. I guess we can do some final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts.
I guess, yeah. Do you have any either final thoughts or also any kind of advice that you might throw out to other parents who are kind of in that prepping stage? I guess for hikers, like people our age, I guess, who want to do 2020 or any year after that. Like, what kind of advice would you maybe give their parents in this stage?
So the only advice that I can really give is prepare. You know, be as supportive as you can. Know that it's gonna cause you a lot of anxiety, and but you know you're under stress, and so is your child. Don't cling too tightly when they want to leave. You know, don't keep running up after the trail and taking pictures and that type of stuff. Just let them go. And plan to spend a day or two just kind of hanging around, just in case they do need you. So, just kind of hang around that area, and there's cell service up there, so they'll be able to get in touch pretty easily if they want to. If they want to, true. Prepare, buy the AWOL guide, buy a spot GPS, and just, enjoy that you've done a good job teaching them to be independent and to have these goals, but be as supportive as you possibly can in the whole process.
That's great.
I think that's great. Yeah, I think also you mentioned the resources too. I think those were extremely helpful for you, like the Facebook groups and
it was. And and if any parent is out there and they actually need to talk to somebody, I am available. You can, Tara and Jonathan or Candy Mama and Sheriff can give you contact information. And I'm more than happy to be a support.
Yeah, comment below if you guys want my mom's deets, give you her email and whatnot. Yeah, I think those are great points, and those are things we can't really talk on too, so we haven't experienced it. So I think it was great having you on in order to speak on those things. So for other people that want to kind of like maybe follow you or just know what's going on in your life, what are your future plans? What is going on for Mom here? What does she want to do?
So, my future plans are to keep hiking on the weekends, and we live close to the Mountains to Sea Trail in North Carolina. So do a lot of hiking on there on the weekends, which I really enjoy. Trying out some different areas, maybe get in some weekend trips. Haven't done that. And get out there and do that. And then, someday in the future, it maybe will include a through hike of my own.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit different than yours and Sheriff's because I'm sure your dad, Tara, will be being the support system that he is and following along
Yeah.
with me. So it'll be very different. He
Yeah.
won't be able to walk it per se,
Yeah.
but he'll be able to be the support system when we retire. So
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
That would
yeah,
be great.
yeah.
I might come with him, do some support of my own as
Yeah.
well.
Do
Or
some
you
trail
could
magic, do
just
some-
walk with me.
Yes, I also would love that. I think about the Appalachian Trail and doing 2020.
Right.
Honestly, but
Really?
I miss it so much. I miss it a lot.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
I think you would love it.
You are going to love it. I know you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Mom. Thank you so much for talking with us and giving all the parents out there a little bit of peace of mind. I know you can't talk on everything, but what you did talk on is incredible. I think it'll help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that
good.
was fun.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, it was great seeing you guys. Miss you.
All right. Miss you too.
Yeah, miss you guys too. We'll see you for Christmas, right?
Yeah, Christmas.
Yay! Yay,
Yay.
Christmas.
All right.
All right.
Mom. Thank
All
you
right.
for talking with us.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.